everybody. This is your host, Sister Jeanette, with another podcast and another video. And today I want to talk to you about being black in America. And I decided to, what better way to start than asking my husband, since he is a black man living in his parents' time. So I'm going to start with him and we'll see how this goes. All right, everybody. So I'm going to introduce to you. What's your name?
Thomas Johnson.
And what do you do, Thomas?
Business consultant, motivational speaker, inspirational speaker.
Awesome. And how do you feel regarding the current events that are going on today?
I feel like it's a lot of division in our nation, and it's because of a lot of the leaders, and the leaders now blame the previous administration, which is partly true, but when you are a leader of something, you take charge, you take responsibility, you take the initiative over things, so you can't blame or shoulder the blame or have somebody else shoulder the blame for things.
Okay. How does it affect your life? What does it mean to be black?
Well, when you look up the definition to black, it means destitute of light. I don't consider myself to be someone who's destitute of light because I walk in the light, I walk in the truth, but to be black in America means you're basically counted lesser than everybody else, and you're seen as that, perceived as that by other races, and you're treated as being inferior.
Being a black man, what are your concerns living in these times?
My concerns every time I leave out the house, not coming back home to my family, getting killed by police officers, something that happened while I'm at the job, at the grocery store, while I'm at the gym, or even in my house. I've seen SWAT teams and law enforcement raid houses. There's a lot of different things that, I could live in fear of each and every day.
How do you feel about the Black Lives Matters movement?
I feel like the Black Lives Matters movement is positive. What many people are getting twisted is the looters and the rioters. They are totally separate than the peaceful protesters. I believe that a lot of change has come from it, and I believe that the leaders of those movements are affecting positive change in the world.
If you had a chance to make any changes for the Black, Latino, Hispanic communities, how would you go about that?
First and foremost, there need to be appointed leaders of each of those respective communities, because a lot of them, they complain about there are no leaders and why do we have to support black people, but most of them don't even know that they come from an African ancestry. So when they trace their lineage, you might do some different DNA testings, but not all of the DNA tests are accurate. And you have a lot of people that believe, hey, we all originated from Africa, or we might have your ancestors might have came from Africa at some point. So they need to appoint leaders of respective organizations and of their communities to be spokespeople, because you can't rely on somebody else to do something for you. That's laziness.
And how come some people or most people don't involve the Latinos, Hispanics, and Mexicans when we are all suffering from the same injustices?
Just going back to what I was saying earlier, you need to appoint different leaders over those, and you have a lot of people speaking up about it, but not a lot of people are affecting change. So what needs to happen is, as I stated first, is you need to appoint leaders, and under those leaders, you need to have members to support those leaders and push the vision forward. And then if you're not passionate about what you do, how do you expect others to be passionate about it as well? So yes, there are people suffering, but nobody's doing anything about it. And that's what I'm seeing. Everybody's complaining, everybody's murmuring, but who's really doing something about it?
Do you have children? If so, what are your concerns for them and their generations in these times that we are in right now?
Well, my concern is, especially if you're not white, which my children are not, and once people really find out who they are, because they don't even know, according to their heritage or their lineage, who they really are, because they haven't discovered that yet. They're young, so they have many other concerns. My concern with them is they could be treated just like I am, because there's a time in the season for everything, and everybody's looking at, the Black Lives Matter group, and why aren't they representing other people, and why aren't they doing this or that? There's a time in the season for everything, so everybody's going to get their fair share of, treatment. So the same thing with my kids. I just want them to find out who they are. And the concern is definitely the police brutality, social injustices, because a lot of kids, they're committed suicide, they're depressed, they're bitter, they're angry, they're jealous, they're upset, and other kids are driving them to do many things that they should not be doing or something against what their parents have been doing. So those are my main concerns with that.
And what does it mean to be free right now in America as we speak?
Yeah, that's a good question. But to be free in America, I couldn't really tell you what that is because I've never been free. Every day that I go out, I'm looked at and treated differently than the average American or the normal American, which they consider to be white, but we all know the truth behind who arrived here, who has been here. But every time I go out, I don't, like I said, to go back to your question, I don't know what freedom is, because freedom for me is totally different than freedom for somebody else. And I might know the definition of it, but I haven't experienced it. So I can't tell you exactly what freedom is. Now I can look at other nations and tell you, okay, we don't suffer from this or we don't go through that. But at the same token, because of the color of my skin, I'm treated much differently than everybody else.
And lastly, do you think we will ever see equality in America for the black and brown community?
Absolutely, because everybody's complaining about, what about us? What about us? What about us? But this whole movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, if you haven't noticed, if you have not turned on the news, which most people have not done, I watch the news. Early in the morning, late at night, I watch the news because certain times they really give truthful information. They also tell that, about the things that's going on around the world, because once it started over here in the Americas, it went over to different continents, and there are millions of people protesting right now. So you have all 50 states, and you have over 18 different countries protesting right now. And it's, like I said, millions of people. And everybody's tired of the social injustices. I know people focus on what happened to George Floyd, which is unfortunate, especially for him and his family. But it's more than that. That's what everybody's realizing. It's over 400 years worth of this madness that's been going on. And I see change. I see changes here already, and things are changing. The police forces, the law enforcement, whether it's FBI, DEA, CIA, the military, everybody's changing things. But what really needs to get on board is the leader of our nation, the leader of the free world, the president of the United States. Because once he declares things, then a lot of his supporters tend to jump on board. But I believe, going back to your original question, that the equality is here. But it's just, we're going to have to keep fighting for it. Because when you have a leader who's fighting against you, who's fighting against what you initially asked earlier, freedom, then, like I said, there's always going to be tension, there's always going to be friction. But I believe that equality is starting to arrive, especially not just for black men or black women or black children, for everybody, because there are a lot of people oppressed right now.
Okay. Thank you, Thomas. I want to thank you for your time. Do you have any last words of wisdom for the youth of these times that are coming up in these times?
I would say, like I said earlier, that there's a time and a season for everything. You might not be suffering right now, but you have to look forward to the future. You as the youth, you are the leaders of our nation, the future leaders of our nation. So you got to start preparing now. Start taking in the wisdom that the older generation is trying to teach you. And I know you might feel like everything isn't right because I've been there, I dealt with that. But when I look back on things, I should have listened to a lot of different things. And that's also another thing. Be careful or monitor what goes into your spirit, because you don't want the wrong people giving you wrong information and you living off of it, and then you wondering why you got mental health issues and behavioral health issues. And usually you can trace it back to somebody telling you something, somebody doing something to you. So just monitor who you have in your circle, what goes in and out of your ears, what you watch daily, who is surrounding you. You don't want negative people around you. But today's youth, you need to prepare, study the law, study local, state, federal laws, and even study international laws, because things change. And as proven with this pandemic, not everybody has been ready, and a lot of lives have been taken.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Thomas.
Thank you.
All right, so guys, so I interviewed one of my Facebook friends, and I'm going to read the questions that I asked her, and what was her response. So first of all, I said, first of all, I want to thank each and every one of y'all for taking time to participate in what I think is a very important part of our lives, addressing the issues we have living in these times today. And so I asked her, what's your name? Her name is Shelita Gaskins. I asked her, what do you do? She is a social worker for child support. I asked her, how do you feel regarding the current events that are happening today? Her response is excited. There is definitely a change coming. The last be first. We are seeing the early stages of destructions of white supremacy and the restoration of the lost children of Israel around the world. I said, how does it affect your life and what does it mean to be black? She says, I try not to let it affect my life. I just try to stay in the fruits of the Spirit and do the right thing so that the Most High will spare me from His judgment here and in the afterlife. Being black, I said, being black, Hispanic, Mexican, Latino woman, what are your concerns living in these times? So I said, apply whatever race or ethnicity you are, and she is what we call a black woman. And her response is, it's definitely not fair. We are disadvantaged at the mercy of white supremacy. I asked her, how do you feel about the Black Lives Matter movement? She says she says, I do not support the organization, but I agree with the statement. I said, how would you go about making changes for the Black, Latino, and Hispanic communities? Her response was, create a centralized networking system, target at-risk area, break them down into smaller square mile areas, identify the problem in each square mile, and meet that need. This program will run in perpetuity till the sun burns out. I said, how come some people or most people don't involve the Latino, Hispanic, and Mexicans when we are suffering from the same injustices? She says she's not sure. I asked, do you have children? If so, what are your concerns for them and their generations? She says, I'm hopeful for the future generation. They are even bolder than their parents. They have the advantage because we are waking and teaching them early. They are brave and will stand up for themselves and others. Number 10, I asked her, what does it mean to be free to you? She replies with, able to move to and fro freely, not being held against my will, not being extorted by the government of all my money, the right to earn a living and land and whatever else is available in the earth God gave mankind. So I asked her, lastly, do you think we will ever see equality in America for the Black and brown and Latino communities? Her response was, no, we must destroy and rebuild. The current system is doing what it was intended to, keep us down. So I said, once again, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to interview you and making sure that your voice is heard. Do you have any last words of wisdom for the youth and their generations living in these times? And her response was, fear the Father and do good always. And again, Shelita, I appreciate all your response. I appreciate the fact that you took time to conduct this interview with me and you took the time to reply to the questions that I had. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and hopefully soon I'll have some more response from other people that I have sent out these questions to. Again, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always hit me up through voice message through here, through the podcast. You can reach me through the email at truthtalkwithjeanette@gmail.com. All right, shalom everybody. This is your host, Sister Jeanette, with another podcast. And today I have the honor to interview one of my sisters, and I just want to get her perspective, her opinions based on the podcast of being black in America. Hope you guys enjoy it. Okay, so what is your name?
Aisha.
What do you do?
Like my occupation, I work for a company. I'm a janitor for a company.
Okay. How do you feel regarding the current events that are going on today?
Actually, I was feeling a little overstimulated lately with the media and with what you see on the news, what you see on your social media. You literally can't go anywhere without seeing something about it, hearing something about it. It's a little bit overstimulating.
How does it affect your life?
As a person, it shows that, as a regular person, it shows that there are a lot of things that are not in my control that can be. It makes me want to, I don't know, it just puts me like so insignificantly small but so big at the same time.
What does it mean to you to be a Latina Hispanic woman?
Sazon, really. How do you say? Like, what does that mean? I feel strength when I hear the word Hispanic or Latina. I feel strength. I feel like hard-working people, hard on everything we do. But it's like underappreciated, determined. I don't know. It's a lot of underneath things there.
So, being a Hispanic Latina woman, what are your concerns living in these times?
Nothing. I have no rights. Everything, it feels like it's being stripped. And then you sit back. Socially, you see how there's a spot for everybody, and then you also have your personal struggles you deal with. And right now, that's what I feel like I'm dealing with. How do I fit my personal struggles into something that now it's socially, it's political? Like, you have to kind of put your feelings aside and, hey, this is what's going on in the world. And if it doesn't change, it's never, if we don't do something, it's never going to change. Then, you see people going out there protesting and fighting and all that stuff, and then you sitting here at home and you look for an excuse to be like, oh, well, this is why I'm not there, or this is why I'm not, doing this. So you kind of feel like, am I doing right, or am I doing wrong, or am I doing what's right for me? There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of answers or no answers. So it's always like, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? But it's like, the right thing for who? For me? For them? For us? It's just a lot of I don't even have the words. I don't even have the words for. I feel like I'm in space, but not really.
Gotcha. How do you feel about the Black Lives Matter movement?
100%. Black lives do matter. And at first, I was like, if we don't say all lives matter, it will be like, oh, well, then you're excluding these kind of people and those kind of people. But it's like, that's not how it is at all. obviously everyone matters, or you put significant to your life, because we are people in this world and we're all trying to just get the same thing. Literally, everyone wants respect, everyone wants a comfortable living where they don't live in fear or have to question anything, where they can express themselves and not have people judge them, not have people refuse to them something that is basically, you're born to be able to do these things, right? It's like, we don't ask to be born, but then we don't ask for things that should be given to us regardless. Like when your parents, right, tell you, I fed you, I put a roof over your head. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. These are things that should be given to me because it is my right. But it's almost like, or do you really have rights? You have to earn them in a way where it's like acceptable for everyone, even though everyone is going to have a different opinion of what they like and what they don't like about you. So it's always like a tug battle. And I know there's a lot of people say, you shouldn't care about what other people think, this and all that. But right now, it's like you have to care about what other people think. Because we're going through, something really, really big is happening. It's a lot.
How would you go about making changes for the Black, Latino, and Hispanic communities?
I'm trying to learn to be more vocal of how I feel. I'm trying to learn to express my personal beliefs and then kind of like compare that to social beliefs, because there are things that are socially acceptable and are not, but then you have to like bring it home and ask yourself, am I okay with this? Does it make me feel safe? Is this right for me as an individual, living in this country?
So how come some people or most people don't involve the Latinos or Hispanic or Mexicans when we are all suffering from the same injustices? And I'm speaking in regards to, like, most people talk about the Black Lives Matter. They only talk about Black Lives Matter. Most people or some people don't want to involve the Latinos, Mexicans.
Because I learned that it is no one's job to hold your hand to learn. We have one of the greatest tools since the encyclopedia, or since people have written history. We have things like a search engine. Everyone has a phone nowadays. Unless you're like homeless or really don't have access to a phone or internet, everyone has a phone. Everyone can Google. Everyone has access. Everyone should have access to a library. And if you don't have any of those things, you should be able to go up to somebody and ask. Ask the right questions you want to ask. I guarantee you someone will hear you and you will, they'll tell you. They'll tell you what it is. But you can't expect someone to teach you, especially to the point where you're like, okay, I'm so-and-so age. It's like you can't expect them to be like, okay, here you go. This is what it is that we are, trying to do. This is how you should act. This is how, in all, it should be you who goes out there and wants to change that. I want to learn, but you have to want it, because if you don't want it, then it's not going to happen for you, because no one is going to hold your hand, telling you these things.
And what does it mean to be free to you?
Free is no judgment at all. If I want to color my hair blue one day and change my mind and have it purple the next day, no one should look at me and be like, oh, what are you doing? I'm expressing myself. If I want to have 10 piercings on my face and wear black eyeliner, I should. It shouldn't matter if you go, to a place and they have to ask you about your sexuality or about who you love or who you marrying or who cares about that? I'm just here at Walmart trying to get freaking apples. I don't freaking know. Why do you care about what I do with my private life? If people aren't into your little personal circle that everyone keeps, you shouldn't worry about those things.
And lastly, do you think we will ever see equality in America for the Black and Brown, Hispanic, and Latino community?
I hope so. I say yes, but not in anyone's lifetime as we know. Because growing up in like the 90s to the middle millennia, things were different. And then because I think about the times of my age in that time, and then I think about my generation, it's like we didn't grow up prepared for anything like this. Like we knew that racism existed. We knew that discrimination existed, but I don't think that, well, for me, I don't think I saw a lot of it till I got online. So there are still a lot of people who keep old traditions because that is what they are taught. And it is hard to make someone change their individual opinion. So in a group, we can change it, but when we sit down one-on-one and people have a different personal belief than they have socially, it's just gonna be hard to change the individual mind. It can happen, but it is gonna take a lot of work, and it's gonna take every single person, except for if you're a baby or dead, but it's gonna take every single person to unite, and every single person who says, oh, my voice doesn't matter, you know what? It is time, right now is the time to make it matter, because that's the only way we're going to see change and we're going to see equality. But so long as people still have those old traditional beliefs, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
All right, Aisha, I want to give you thank you for letting me interview you and giving me the time to do this. I'm just trying to make sure that everybody's voice is being heard with the concerns and the issues that are going on in today's world. And do you have any words of wisdom for the youth that is growing up in this generation and their generations for what we're going through right now?
Well, I can't really say because I'm also going through it. But find people you can talk to. Find someone you feel safe with. If you don't, find a way to express what you feel. If you have to write it down, write it down. If you have to draw it out, draw it out. If you have to, throw rocks in a lake to feel better, do it. But find someone you can sit down with and be like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what, because it feels better. Even if you feel like, oh, no one cares about what I gotta say, someone out there will care. All we want is to be heard. Sometimes all I want is to have someone listen to me. I just want to rant. If you don't think you can do that with a person, tap into your notes on your phone and write it down. Get a notebook and write it down. Write it down, but do not keep that inside, because I promise you it will cause a turmoil that is just, it's not a good place to be in at any time in your life.
All right, Aisha, thank you once again for letting me interview you. Have a good one.
Yeah.
All right, shalom, everybody. Peace and blessings. This is your host, Sister Jeanette, with another podcast. And today, of course, we're continuing to talk about being black in America. And I have the pleasure to interview my daughter. And here we go. What's your name? What do you do?
I go to high school.
How do you feel regarding the current events that are going on today?
I feel almost awkward because I don't know if I can do anything besides sign petitions and just raise awareness for it. And I kind of feel bad because I can't go out and protest because I can't go nowhere because of my age. And I just wish I could do more than just sit at home and just watch all of it happen. Like, I wish I could go out there and help people.
How does it affect your life?
I feel like it affects my life because this is my generation, and this is what my generation is going to go through in the future. And if this is what's happening now, this is what I'm going to have to go through in the future. And if it doesn't get fixed, then it's scary, you know.
What does it mean to be a child of Hispanic parents?
I feel like I don't necessarily think I feel strong or anything just because of my race. I feel almost like a regular, normal person. Like, I'm not given any kind of benefits or anything, or like, no one ever says, "Oh, you're Hispanic, awesome, Hispanic power," or whatever, you know? Like, I feel almost left out from everything. We often get pushed aside.
Being a child of parents that are Latinos, what are your concerns living in these times?
I don't necessarily get scared for their lives when they're out there because not as many people go for the Hispanics than they do for blacks people. So I'm not scared for their lives, but I do feel bad for them too because there's a lot of people out there who are racist to us and will treat us differently in stores and restaurants and parks and everything. We will get weird looks because of our skin color and stuff.
Now, being that you have a stepfather that is from the ethnicity black, what is your concern towards him when he's out there?
I think he would do fine out there, but maybe people will give him weird looks too because his skin color and everything, how big bodied he is, scary, intimidating. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure he would get, if anybody would want to even talk to him and they wanted to be racist towards him, he would probably shut them down with facts and everything. So I'm not too worried about him out there.
How do you feel about the Black Lives Matter movement?
I fully support it. I think that Black lives do matter and that they should totally protest for what they need because America isn't changing and it's just repeating history. And I just support the movement.
Now, if you had a chance, how would you go about making changes for the Black, Latino, Hispanic community?
If I had a chance to protest, I definitely would because one may seem like a small number, but one could do so much, you know. And because of my age too, either people could look at it this way: oh, she's young, she doesn't know what she's talking about, or oh, she's young and she's experiencing this. I feel bad for her. Maybe we should do something, you know.
How come some people, or most people, don't involve the Latino, Hispanic, Mexicans when we are all suffering from the same injustices. And I'm speaking about, like, for instance, the Black Lives Matter movement.
Maybe because like everyone is so focused on the Black lives right now, because you don't really hear much about the Hispanics and stuff on the news and on the media. But that might also be because people push it away, so that we don't have to see that, because racist. That's why. And they don't really consider the Hispanics because the Hispanics could come out and talk, but they don't. And I think it's because we're scared. But even when all this Black Lives Matter movement is happening, we still stay quiet, and I don't like that. And I think we should do something about that.
So my next question is actually for people that have children, but obviously we know that you do not have any children. So being a child and, a teenager growing up in these times, what are your concerns for you and the generation that's coming up in this world?
I think maybe the next generation will definitely be stronger because of how we are right now, fighting for our rights and everything. I think that we'll be strong and brave because of what's going on right now. And maybe they'll be educated on everything that's happening now. So maybe when in future generations this won't happen anymore, because it already happened, but history is already repeating itself. So I'm worried too.
What does it mean to be free to you?
Being able to be whatever I want or do whatever I want without being looked at as a weirdo or being judged by people. Like, if I wanted to do something, I don't want some person to look at me like, what is she doing? Like, that's kind of weird, I don't want to be looked at like that. And that's disrespectful. So
Lastly, do you think we will ever see equality in America for the Black and brown and Hispanic community? So equality means like equal rights for everybody. See how, white people, they have rights and they get away with a lot of stuff. Do you think we'll ever see equality where, if a white person did that and a Black person did it and a Hispanic or brown or Latino did it, it would be the same. It would be okay for them because since that person got away with it, we can go ahead and do it because we can get away with it. So that's what equality means. Rights, that the same rights apply for everybody, not just for one particular race or group of people. Like, instance, the freedom to be able to speak, the freedom of speech. We should be able to have the freedom to speak no matter what. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, you can't speak because your color of skin. That's what I'm saying by, do you think we'll ever have equality in America?
I don't think we'll ever have full equality, just because the human brain is always gonna just have evil in them. And I think they'll say we have equality, but truly we'll never actually have equality for anybody. It will never be equal, but we will still fight for changes, and nothing is actually gonna take a major effect for years. It'll be a very long time until something actually happens.
All right, Janice, I want to thank you for giving me the time to interviewing you with this amazing project that I'm doing. Do you have any last words of wisdom for the youth and for their generations that are growing up in these times?
Stop repeating history.
All right. All right, Janice, thank you. Shalom, everybody. Peace and blessings. This is your host, Sister Jeanette, with another podcast. And today I'm going to be interviewing a very special woman in my life. And this is going to be for being Black in America. And I'm just gonna let her speak to you in Spanish because she speaks Spanish, and we'll see how this goes. What is your name?
Mi nombre es Luz.
Y señora Lucy, ¿qué usted hace?
Yo soy ama de casa.
¿Cómo usted se siente, especialmente en los eventos que están pasando hoy en día?
Bueno, me da mucha tristeza porque es una vida que le quitaron a una persona y eso da pena.
¿Y cómo esto le afecta su vida?
Bueno, me afecta porque yo pienso que podía ser uno de mis nietos o yo. Y eso, ver eso en la televisión, en las noticias, me dolió verlo.
Siendo una mujer de padre latino, ¿cómo usted se siente en esta época?
Bueno, a veces me da un poco de temor porque he visto el prejuicio que le tienen a los latinos también. Pero me siento orgullosa por ser latina. Creo que tenemos los mismos derechos.
Siendo una mujer latina, ¿cuáles son tus preocupaciones viviendo en estos tiempos de ahora?
Bueno, mi preocupación es que yo pueda salir y venga un racista y un policía racista y me apare por nada y me caiga a golpe, me da miedo.
¿Usted está familiarizada con el Black Lives Matter Movement?
Sí.
¿Cómo usted se siente con ese Black Lives Movement?
Bueno, me siento que deben de escuchar la voz del pueblo porque le quitaron la vida a una persona y lo vi injusto.
Siendo una señora que nació en los 50s, ¿cómo usted se siente viendo todo lo que está pasando en este mundo de cuando usted estaba creciendo, cuando vivía en Hoboken, New Jersey, lo que usted vio, a lo que está viendo ahora? ¿Cómo usted se siente?
Bueno, me siento más o menos igual, pero lo vi peor antes porque la policía sacaba escopeta, el revólver y empujaba a la gente cuando íbamos a salir de las casas para adentro para que no nos pasara nada, porque los italianos y los puertorriqueños tenían indiferencia y rompían vitrinas, tiraban bombas de fuego a las tiendas. Se formaba una revolución en Hoboken.
¿Piensa que eso es lo mismo que está pasando hoy en día?
Sí, más o menos la historia sigue. No ha cambiado en nada.
¿Y usted estaba en los tiempos cuando la policía sacaba la manguera y le echaba agua a los negros?
No, pero mi papá me contaba de ese racismo que había. Yo era pequeña.
Y siendo hija de un padre inmigrante, ¿cómo usted se siente? ¿Qué fue lo que usted vio al crecer cuando usted veía a tu papá?
Bueno, cuando yo era pequeña, de 6 o 7 años, yo veía que mi papá se iba a una línea donde cogían los puertorriqueños y los emigraban para Estados Unidos, para la finca, a cortar tabaco, naranja, y así vi mi papá desde pequeña emigrando.
Si usted tuviera una oportunidad, ¿cómo usted hiciera cambios en la comunidad hispana?
Bueno, yo pondría que las leyes fueran para todo el mundo igual y que la voz latina se escuchara en todos los aspectos del gobierno, porque los latinos tenemos nuestras cualidades y somos trabajadores, gente humilde que nos gusta hacer nuestro trabajo.
¿Y por qué usted piensa que hay alguna gente o mucha gente que no quiere involucrar a los latinos, a los hispanos, a los mexicanos, cuando todos estamos todos somos culpables de las mismas injusticias que están pasando la gente del color negro. ¿Por qué tú crees que la gente del, como se dice, el Black Lives Matter movement no quiere incluir a otra clase de gente como los hispanos, latinos, mexicanos? Si todos estamos pasando por las mismas injusticias.
Porque creo que algunas personas pues son individual y piensan individual en la mente, pero somos todos hijos de Dios. O creo que no tiene importancia para ellos, pero para nosotros sí.
¿Qué significa ser una persona que tenga freedom, que tenga libertad en este mundo para ti?
Bueno, la libertad es una cosa que es expresión de palabra, ir donde tú quieras ir, hacer el bien y obedecer las leyes y seguir para adelante y que nadie te tenga que parar y decir, mira, no puedes ir así, no puedes hacer esto. Cualquier cosa que tú no sea mala, la puedes hacer.
Y yo sé que usted tiene hijas. ¿Cuáles son tus preocupaciones para ellas y la generación de nosotros?
Bueno, me preocupa porque algunas de mis hijas tienen sus hijos y ellos ven noticias, se encaminan y me gustaría que pusieran un poco más de atención a lo que está pasando porque podía ser uno de mis nietos.
Bueno, señora Lucy, y la última pregunta que tengo para usted. ¿Usted piensa que nosotros como gente vamos a ver algún día la ecualidad en la América?
Bueno, está bien difícil, pero esperemos en Dios en que el gobierno cambie y el presidente tenga un poco más de conciencia y ponga de verdad lo que tiene que poner allá arriba para que el pueblo sea quien decida, porque nosotros somos quien lo ponemos a él en el trono.
Bueno, Lucy, yo le quiero dar las gracias por darme la oportunidad de darle esta interview a usted. Y quería preguntarle si tenía alguna palabra de sabiduría para la gente joven y su generación de los cuales están creciendo en este mundo, como está este mundo hoy en día.
Bueno, mi palabra para la juventud es que se animen, no se detengan, que si sueñan, que sigan sus sueños y que hagan las cosas bien y respeten las leyes para que no haya problemas en su futuro.
Bueno, Lucy, muchas gracias por darme esta oportunidad de darle este interview. Que tenga buen día.
Igualmente, Dios te bendiga.
Hello, everybody. This is your host, Sister Jeanette, with another podcast, and I'm continuing the podcast called Being Black in America. And I had the honor to interview one of my friends, and she gave me her answer. She did not want to do a video or a voice message, so I gave her the questions. She gave me the answers, and I'm going to read them for her and see how this goes. First of all, I want to say thank you for taking the time of your busy, schedule and do this what I think is a very important special project that that I wanted it to do, because I believe that everybody's voice should be heard, and I believe that everybody's opinion should matter. So I want to thank everyone that took the opportunity to participate in this. And here we go. I asked her, what's your name? So her name is Mackenzie. I asked, what do you do? She says that she works as a security guard for a company. Question number 3 is, how do you feel regarding the current events that are going on today? Her answer was, I feel that it sucks that this is happening. However, I feel we all kind of knew this would come. People were being so blind to what was really going on, and that's why we're all so shocked. You have to think, though, nothing is ever going to be perfect because of that certain percentage of people who don't want there to be a change. I mean, history just keeps repeating itself at the end of the day. Question number 4 is, how does it affect your life? What does it mean to be black? Her answer is, it affects my life because I'm a black woman, so I fear for my life. I don't feel safe. I already didn't growing up, but now it's even worse because I'm at an age where I see children and I know that I want some of my own, but I don't want them to have to go through this. I'm scared for my future children's lives. My little brother's life, my nephew's life, shit, any black man in family. To me, being black means to be beautiful, different, and a queen. We are looked up to really all minorities are looked up by the white people because they copy our heritage and how we dress and do our hair. So black is beautiful to me. Question number 5 is, being a black woman, what are your concerns living in these times? She says, being a black woman, my concerns are for my younger siblings' safety and mine. I just want us to make it to an age where we can see our grandkids, you know. Question number 6, how do you feel about the Black Lives Matter movement? She says she fully supports the Black Lives Matter movement. Number 7, how would you go about making changes for the Black, Latino, Hispanic communities? She says, I can't really say what I could do because I honestly don't know. Although I do know that we should always stick together and not tear each other down. And don't let these white people tear us down. Good answer. Question number 8. How come some people or most people don't involve the Latino, Hispanic, Mexicans when we are all suffering from the same injustices? Her answer is, I want people to understand that we're not discrediting any other group or minority. We support y'all as much as y'all support us. This matter has to do with the lives of black people. We've been losing our people for years. Not saying y'all haven't either, but we are literally fearing for our lives when we walk out our house or down the street because we look like someone the police are looking for. Not saying y'all don't live in fear either, because I know for sure y'all are. But this really all we're seeing right now. This is just my opinion, but I do feel like more black people die each year more than any race. Question number 9. Do you have children? If so, what are your concerns for them and their generations? Her answer is, no, I don't have children, but I do have a nephew and a younger brother and sister, and I'm just afraid for the generation if things don't get better. Question number 10. What does it mean to be free? Her answer is, I feel being free is being able to walk down the street or drive your car and not have to worry about being shot. Freedom is being able to practice your First Amendment right or any amendment, not to be condemned or looked down for it on it. Being able to live the life you want to live and not worry. Lastly, I ask, do you think we will ever see equality in America for the black and brown community? Her answer is, I would love to see that, but we will forever have racist people and people who don't like change. It will definitely die down though through the years and will have some respect, but there'll always be that 10% that just don't want to change. Mackenzie, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to participate in this little project that I created because I wanted it to make sure that everybody's voice was heard. I wanted it to make sure that everybody had a chance to speak their mind. And what better way to do it than through a podcast, that is heard throughout the whole entire world. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their busy schedule and doing this. Next, I'll have my answers to all these questions that I asked everybody, and hopefully, you'll all enjoy. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast. Remember, if you want to reach out through me through any of my social media, you can look me up through my Linktree account, and that is linktr.ee/JJohnson21. Peace and blessings, everyone. Stay tuned. Shalom, everybody. Peace and blessings. This is your host, Sister Jeanette. And today I'm going to be giving you my answers to the questions I've been asking a few people regarding the podcast called Being Black in America. So here we go. Question number 1 is asking what's my name. Everybody knows my name is Jeanette and I am your host of Truth Talk with Jeanette. What do I do? Well, what don't I do? I wear many hats. Of course, I am your host of the Anchor FM podcast, Truth Talk with Jeanette. I am a motivational speaker. I am a counselor to a lot of my sisters. A lot of friends come to me, ask me for advice. I am a God-fearing woman. I work in the medical field. I do security. I mean, there's just so many things that I do that if I sit here and tell you what I do, it's gonna take forever because, like I said, I do a lot of stuff. But right now, I am your anchor of Truth Talk with Jeanette, so we'll leave it short and sweet. Question number 3 is, how do I feel regarding the current events that are going on today? How do I feel? I feel upset. I feel angered. I feel enraged because there is a lot of injustices. The system is not made for us. So when I see, my fellow brothers and sisters being killed and murdered for a simple traffic stop, it really makes me very upset, where it puts me in a position where, what can I do to make things better? How can I make the system better? How can I be a spokesperson for the injustices that are going on right now as we speak? So I feel very angry, very enraged, very upset. Question number 4 is, how does it affect my life? And what does it mean to be a Hispanic Latina woman? How does it affect my life? First of all, I'm married to a black man, so it affects my life because I'm scared that every time he goes out that door, I'm scared that, he'll never come back. I'm scared that because of the color of his skin, a cop is feeling, a certain way where, he wants to, do profile racial, and he wants to stop my husband for whatever reason, and I get a phone call, that, something happened to him. So it affects my life in that way because the unknown, the what if this is the last time I'm gonna, kiss him goodbye? What if this is the last time I'm gonna see him, walk out that door? So it really makes me worried every time he goes out. Every time he goes out that door, it worries me. So that's how it affects me. Being a Latina, living in these times, What does it mean? What does it mean to me? Well, I'm what you call the light-skinned sister, so sometimes I can get away with certain things, but when I open my mouth and people hear my accent, it becomes a problem. Um, Being Latina, I feel proud of my roots. I feel proud of who I am. Um, I feel that there is there's this power that we possess that you know that nobody can take from us. So being a daughter of you know of parents that are from the for the Puerto Rican roots, it's something that makes me feel very, very proud. Question number 5 is, being a Latina Hispanic woman, what are my concerns living in these times? My concern living in these times. My concern is that, because I can't sit here and say that I live in fear every day because of whom I am. Because like I said, I'm light skinned, so most people think that I am a what you call a white person, but I'm really not. And it's funny how people think they judge you based on your color of skin without even knowing you. But my concern living in these times is seeing the injustices, seeing how my people are being, killed, murdered, how my people are being treated, how you have, the poor little babies, the children, the Mexicans out in cages because they're, quote unquote illegal. Every time a brother goes to the store and comes out, for some reason, he's guilty of something, and here comes the cops, trying to stop them or arrest them or whatnot. There's just so many concerns that I have. It's just I worried for my husband. I worried for my nephews. I worried for my sisters. I worry for my kids. It's a lot. Question number 6 is, how do I feel about the Black Lives Matter movement? Lord have mercy. I have a lot to say about the Black Lives Matter movement. I support them 100%. Now, here's my thing. I've been noticing that a lot of people, especially in my beliefs, as you all know, I believe that I am, one of the chosen people from, that the Bible speaks of. I am, children of the Most High, the Almighty God. I believe in the Hebrew Israelites. I believe that we are Hebrew Israelites. But that's above all this other stuff. I would have to go and make another podcast regarding that because I have a lot to talk about that. But I see that in my beliefs, I see a lot of people speaking negative about the Black Lives Matter movement. And what we need to understand is that when we talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, there's a difference between the Black Lives Matter movement and the Black Lives Matter Organization Inc., which the Black Lives Matter Organization Inc., as you all know, was created by these young ladies, and I think George Soros is like the number one supporter or whatever, whoever. I really don't care. But my thing is, with the Black Lives Matter movement, it upsets me how people sit at home behind their computer screen and talk all this shit on social media about the Black Lives Matter movement, but yet what are they doing to make a difference in these times that we're going through right now? Like, everybody wants to sit there and speak negative about the Black Lives Matter movement, but them as individual, what are you doing to fix the problem of the injustices that we're suffering right now as we speak? And this is coming from the Black community. You talk shit about the Black Lives Matter movement, but what are you guys doing to make a change? How are you standing up to the injustices that your people is suffering right now as we speak? What are you doing? You're doing absolutely nothing but sitting behind a computer screen and keyboard and speaking all this bullshit on social media, but you ain't doing nothing to support your people. You ain't doing nothing to fight the injustices that we're going through right now. The Black Lives Matter movement, you gotta understand that they are all individually owned. These are organizations that are individually owned. They're not running by the Black Lives Matter organization Inc. This is when we talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, you gotta look at it this way. There are so many McDonald's out there. They're not all owned by the same person. These are all McDonald's that are branched off, and they are owned by individually people. So when we talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, you can't just look at it as a whole, because not everybody stands for the same things that the Black Lives Matter organization Inc. that you look up on Google search stands for. We need to understand that. So yes, I do support the Black Lives Matter movement, but I do not support the Black Lives Matter organization Inc. There's two different things. I had the pleasure of going to a Black Lives Matter movement protest, and ever since I saw that and I experienced it for myself, that's what made me realize that I can't speak against it, because they're not all the same. I was there. I was speaking so highly negative about the Black Lives Matter movement until I had to actually see it for myself. I had to experience it for myself to see what the Black Lives Matter movement was. And we got to understand that the Black Lives Matter organization Inc. is completely different than the Black Lives Matter, 757, which is branched out here in Virginia, or any other Black Lives Matter movement that's out there. We need to stop pointing fingers and stop talking shit about other people when you are not doing anything to fix the problem. You're not doing anything to make changes in the system for your people. Everybody says protesting doesn't work. Actually, I have seen it with my own two eyes. Here in Virginia, protesting does work. The president of the Black Lives Matter 757, Mr. Aubrey Jones, has been doing all these different protests all throughout Virginia, and he has and I mean he made it where the governor of Virginia gave us the Juneteenth as a holiday. Statues are being brought down, are being removed. So don't sit there and say that protesting doesn't work. It might not work for you, but it works for others. Don't sit there and bash the movement when you're just sitting there behind a computer and talking all this shit, but you're doing nothing to fix the injustices and the problems that we're dealing with, these current events. You are a hypocrite. Question number 7 is, how would you go about making changes for the Black, Latino, and Hispanic community? Let me tell you. If it was in my willpower to become an advocate and a spokesperson to be able to participate in all these protests, I would do it, because To me, people say don't vote, don't vote, don't vote. Your vote don't count. But actually, when you vote, you're voting in your governors in, your mayors in, the people that are in the Senate in, your sheriffs, your House of Representatives. Your vote doesn't count when it comes to choosing a president of the United States. But it's a start. Also, when you have these little meetings that your cities, they do because they want to hear the people's opinions on how they can fix certain matters. These are the times that you need to go into these little meetings and have your voice be heard. Otherwise, if you don't participate in these little things, you will never be able to make a difference. Your voice will never be heard. So how can I make changes? I would be more outspoken. I would speak up more often. I would try to go and participate in protests. I would try to participate in all these little meetings they have in the city hall to have they give people a chance to, for your voice to be heard. I would create a group of, of the different ethnicities and race and appoint leaders so that they can, come together and speak about the problems that the community is facing and how to fix it, how to go about fixing it, how to go about, fixing the system, because the system is not meant for us. The system is crooked. That's how I would make changes. Question number 8. How come some people or most people don't involve the Latino, Hispanic, Mexicans when we are all suffering from the same injustices? It is because, I truly feel that it's because, and I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for this one, but I think it's because since the black community have been suffering for 400 years of slavery, they have been lynched, they have been killed, they have been murdered, they have been separated from their family. They have gone through hell and back. Not saying that the Hispanic, Latino, Mexicans haven't gone through all that, because we all have gone through that. We were the natives of the land. They came and took over our land. They came and killed our women, our men. They raped our women. They killed our babies. They fed them to alligators. There's a lot that we have gone through, but I feel that since it's the moment for the black people to rise up, that's why most of the time some people or most people don't want to involve nobody else but just the black community, because of what we are dealing with right now as we speak. Is every time you turn on the TV, a black person is being killed, is being murdered, is being arrested. A black person robbed a bank, a black person did this, a black person did that. So I think that the focus is on black community because of all the trauma that they have gone through. They went from being sold as slave, the transatlantic slave trade, the bondage, and even to this day we are still in bondage. We are still in modern day slavery. So I think that's why they don't want to include other race or other ethnicities, because right now the focus is on black people. There is a time where the black people needs to rise up and stand up against the injustices that we have in this system. There is a season and a reason for everything. Everything happens for a reason. And right now, the season is for the black community to rise up and gain power and become one as a whole. And truly understand whom you really are. The power that you possess. Question number 9 says, do you have children? If so, what are your concerns for them and their generation? I have 2 beautiful children. One is my son, he's 17, and the other one is my daughter, she's 14. They're both in high school. And my concern is that once people know who they are, they're going to get rejected. They're going to go through the injustices that we face right now. Because, see, my children, when you look at them, they might come across as either like mixed kids, or they look white because, their color of their skin. But until they find out who they truly are, then, of course, people will treat them differently. Like, for instance, when people don't know who they are, you really become blind to a lot of stuff. But when you know your roots and whom you are, you're aware of things. And my kids are in that age where they're starting to wake up to see who they really are, the roots, the bloodline that they come from. So my concerns for them and their generation is that they continue to live in these times where there's never going to be, a moment where they can come together as a whole. I feel that, I scare that they suffer from the injustices that we still have in this corrupted system. Hopefully that changes by the time, they have children and their children have children and their children have children. Hopefully it's a whole different, world, and we won't be dealing through all this. But as of right now, that's where we stand, and it just really is crazy. Question number 10. What does it mean to be free? I realized that when I asked this question to a lot of the people that I interviewed, most of the people said that being free was being able to express yourself, being able to dye your hair blue, purple, the being able to speak your mind without nobody judging you, calling you weird, calling you a freak. And it's sad that we live in a world where even dyeing your hair green is like, am I going to be looked as a weirdo, as a freak? And here's my thing. Being free. Being free to me means being able to express myself with no concerns, being able to speak my mind with no worries that, that I'm going to get, how do you say that word? There's not going to be no consequences. Being free is being able to exercise all my amendments that the so-called United States of America gave to me. Being free to me is being able to walk outside with my arms, okay, with my guns, and nobody being scared, nobody calling the cops because, there's somebody out here with a AK-47 or a Glock or a 9mm, like, being free is being able to express myself without anybody judging me and telling me that the way I'm expressing myself is wrong, or I shouldn't be doing this, or I shouldn't be doing that. Being free is not being under bondage. Being free is being able to go ahead and get me that nice 2020 Cadillac because, my credit doesn't matter. Being free is, being able to go to college, and have this degree and not worrying about all this, all this debt that I'm gonna have afterwards. Being free, it's a way of, to me, being free is a way of thinking, is a way of living life. When you constantly in your thoughts thinking negative, you have you have this life where you always going to feel oppressed. You're always going to feel in bondage. To me, being free is a mindset where, you know what, yes, I know the system is, crooked. I know this, I know that, but you know what? I'm going to live life to the fullest, and I'm going to make sure that I exercise my rights. Making sure that you inform yourself, of the things that you can and cannot get away with. You know what I'm saying? Like, be free. Free is a set of mindset. You gotta free your mind, because if you don't free your mind, you will always be in bondage. That's just my way of thinking. And question number 11 is, lastly, do I think that we will ever see equality in America for the black and brown community? Quite honestly, I think that maybe we will see equality in America, but it's going to take some hard work. It's going to take some time. This is something that's not going to be given to us overnight. This is something that we have to gradually work on, so that, we can have a better tomorrow, per se. You know, the grass is always greener on the other side. There's always a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to take time. It's going to take work. It's going to take progress. It's going to take us fighting for right and wrong. It's going to take us standing up to the injustices of the system. It's going to take us coming together and facing the governor, facing the Senate, the president, whoever we have to face. Is going to take us sitting at those meetings, at those board meetings, speaking our minds and thoughts and concerns, and making sure that the people, the right people, are listening. Because when you speak and nobody's listening, nothing's ever going to change. You have to make sure that your voice is being heard. And if your voice is not being heard, there is nothing that you can do. And that is why I made this podcast called Being Black in America. And I interview a few people, because I wanted to give people an opportunity, a chance for their voice to be heard. And what other way than through a podcast where it's being heard worldwide? That's why I did this, because I wanted to give an opportunity to people of every color of skin and every race, a chance for their voice to be heard. Everybody talks about, well, you need to follow the law, statutes, and commandments of God. You need to repent from this and you need to repent for that, so that you can, live a better life. And no, this is beyond following God's way. This is beyond following the law, statutes, and commandments of God. This is beyond trying to do right by God. This is beyond repentance. We have a issue in America that us as Americans, as people, need to come together and fight the system, fight the injustices that we are going through right now. And lastly, do I have any words of wisdom for the youth and their generations that are coming up in these days? My words of wisdom is, educate yourself in the real history of America. Educate yourself in all these laws that are being passed. Educate yourself in all the rights, your civil rights, the amendments, the Constitution of the United States. Educate yourself what you can and cannot do, what you can and cannot get away with. Educate yourself in the system that you're living in right now. so that you can help others overcome the injustices that we are suffering from right now, because history tends to repeat itself. So we're going through this right now. I guarantee you we're going to go through this again in years and generations to come. As the generation of our future, I recommend that you guys study the laws of the land that you live in, so therefore when you are faced with something, you know how to defend yourself. Especially my black youth. Study the laws, learn your rights as a citizen of the United States. So that when you get stopped by a police officer and you are a minor, or you're a young adult, you know how to defend yourself from that police officer. Learn your rights, learn your laws, learn the constitutional rights and laws. Learn it all. Educate yourself. Educate yourself so that you can teach others. Remember that each one teach one. And that is all that I have to say. Lord, I spoke so much. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this podcast. It really, when I went to the Black Lives Matter movement 757 protest a few weeks ago, I saw a lot of people coming together it was just of every nationality, every color of skin, white, black, Hispanic, Latinos, Mexicans. They were all out there. And when I saw that, and I saw the one man that did that, and he brought everybody together, and it was just a peaceful protest. It inspired me to say, you know what? I need to do a podcast about this. I want to know what it feels like, being black in America. So that's why I did this podcast. That's why I invited a few people to, participate. And I just want to say, thank you guys. Thank you everybody, that took the time to participate in this, what I called a very, very powerful, podcast. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Shelita. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Janice. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mackenzie. I truly appreciate you guys. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to conduct this interview with me, to answer my questions that I had. Hopefully, I'll probably make a part 2, but I do appreciate the fact that you guys did that, and I'm glad that that I'm able to provide a platform where your voice can be heard. So with all that being said, I love you guys. Continue to listen. If you want to support my podcast, you can do so with my Cash App, and that is BWBYJANETTE 37. That's BW by Jeanette 37. If you want to link up with me, you can look up all my social media accounts through my link tree, and that is linktr.ee/JJohnson21. Peace and blessings. Shalom. Till next one, this is your host, Sister Jeanette, signing out. Y'all have a very beautiful, blessed day. See you guys around. Be blessed.